Yao Ming, one of the most unique players the league has ever seen, standing at 7'6" with the combination of skill, size, and a sweet shooting touch. Many would argue that he was one of the most dominant centers of his generation. A first ballot Hall of Famer, 8-time NBA All-Star, and most importantly, one of the most influential basketball players that have helped globalize the game, I have decided to dedicate a build for the great Yao Ming this year and share it with everyone in the 2K community. So let's not waste any more time and 走起吧. So here it goes. I'm gonna try to build a new Yao Ming this year for NBA 2K21, and it will probably be one of my main builds. So to start things off with the name, Yao is actually his Chinese last name, so in that sense it's actually Ming Yao in the game, especially if you want to keep his jersey name with Yao on the back instead of Ming, because that's one thing that I screwed up on in 2K20. But here we go. So his position is center, right-handed, and number 11. So before I start going into the details of this build, I just wanted to quickly say that the main purpose of this build is probably to bully people in the park in 2s and 3s, at the same time to help me earn money fast in MyCareer, and also have a good time in rec. At the same time, I'm trying to make this build as well-rounded as possible, because we all know that Yao was a pretty good mid-range shooter, was a relentless dunker, pretty good defensive player as you look at these stats. So those are the 3 things to keep in mind before we go into this build. Now, moving on to the pie charts, you can actually pick quite a few, and last year I actually did pretty well with the blue and the yellow pie chart. So I think it was actually one of these ones where it had a yellow and the blue. So basically you had a high post move rating and you were able to dunk as well and be pretty dominant in the paint. But 2 things that I didn't really like about this build or this pie chart was that the shooting was kind of weak, so you're not a threat to score from mid-range, and it's pretty easy to guard, especially in my park where centers usually you have glass clean centers that just stayed in the paint, or if they double team then you're pretty much useless outside of the paint. The rebound rating is pretty weak and the defensive stats are pretty weak, so in that sense it's pretty easy to get bullied by bigger players, and at the same time I was getting out rebound by 6'5" and 6'6" shooting guards. So, and to keep things real, you're Yao Ming, so you're the biggest player on the court, so you should be able to grab most of the rebounds. You shouldn't get out rebound by smaller players. So for this year I'm gonna go with something a little bit more defensive and at the same time a little bit more shooting, because as a bigger player you can't be one-dimensional, so you actually have to be able to shoot, I feel like, in park to keep your opponents honest. So to see right here, there's this red and green pie chart which is pretty solid. So I think I'm gonna go with the red and the green pie chart mainly because of 2 reasons. For one, this keeps my options open to have Hall of Fame shooting badges, and at the same time the defense is still pretty strong, so I'm able to get Hall of Fame rebounding and the high block rating and all the other badges, as many defensive badges as possible, so which is more realistic for a 7'3" center, because I don't want to get bullied by anyone in the paint or in the park this year. So let's go with that. And in terms of the physical profile, you obviously, if you want to build a Yao Ming build, you can't really have the minimum strength, so you probably have to go with something that's a little bit stronger. But at this point is your call. Do you want the full max strength or a little bit more acceleration? So let's see here. So basically for the physical profile, I think there are 2 pie charts that I would probably go with for this Yao Ming build. There's one with the biggest strength, 78, and then there's another one which has a little bit more speed and acceleration, but the vertical is not as high, so it's up to you. But at 7'3" and probably going max weight, I probably need a little bit more speed, so I'll probably go with this one with the 60 speed, 78 strength, and I'll make adjustments after. So now moving on to the attributes here, I think I'm gonna focus my main attribute points on the defense and rebounding and the shooting. So in that sense, as you can see, I maxed out the interior defense because you're Yao Ming and you need to stop everyone in the paint, so you can't get bullied. At the same time, defensive rebounding and offensive rebounding, I maxed them out along with blocks, and I gave it a little bit of steal as well so that I can get 20 badges. For shooting, I maxed out mid-range and 3-point shooting, which gives me 4 badges, and this should be enough for me to get a range extender on Hall of Fame. But to give myself a little bit more wiggle room, I'll probably do free throws, so which will give me about 6 badges, and I think that should be the sweet spot right there for me to focus my other badges on finishing and playmaking. So overall, I want this to be a very well balanced build that can do a little bit of everything, with defense and mid-range shooting and finishing close as the primary skill, which was kind of what Yao was good at when he played in the NBA. So in that sense, I would probably have to go with max standing dunk and driving dunk, because if you're Yao Ming, it's no fun if you can't dunk on people, so that's pretty important. And I'm aiming to get gold contact finisher, so which is why I think we need at least 3 finishing badges, and I'm aiming for 6 here, which leaves me with 64 upgrade attributes, which I hope I can get at least 1 or 2 playmaking badges from it. So I max out post moves, and it's not giving me anything, so let's try to max out the pass accuracy, and that's 2. So overall, I'm kind of liking this right now because it's pretty well balanced and I get a little bit of everything. This year, luckily, we don't have to worry about quick draw, so which gives us a little bit more space to focus on the finishing as well. And at the same time, the 20 defensive badges would pretty much make this guy a paint beast, which Yao kind of was during his time, as if you look back at some of his stats, he was actually a really good paint defender, so which is really important. And for defensive badges, I kind of left out perimeter defense and quickness, because if you're a 7'3" center, you don't really have to play on the perimeter and you don't really have to be chasing little guys around, so let's go with that. And for the body type, I think this doesn't really look like Yao. He wasn't really a muscular guy by any means, so I would probably go with not compact, so I'll probably go with solid here. And for height, the max height you can go is 7'3". If there was 7'6", then I would have probably went with that, but this is the max, so this is what we can do. And as you can see, the speed went down a bit, but at the same time, our goal is to increase the strength, because with Yao, one of your main purposes is to bully people in the paint. And for the weight, you can actually play around with this here. So personally, I wouldn't leave it as normal, so I would probably increase it to as close as max weight as possible. And as you can see, even if you increase it to max weight, the interior defense is a +9, which is a huge boost, and your strength automatically becomes a 95, so we're looking pretty good right now. The only things you take a hit on is perimeter defense and lateral quickness, which isn't a big deal for a center. And for driving dunk and driving layup, just a -5, so I guess I'll go with that. And for the wingspan, let's see what we can do here. So if you decrease the wingspan, you get a little boost in your shooting. Your mid-range and your 3-point shooting increases to 65, but for Yao, I think a 65.3 is kind of high, so I probably don't need that. And I'm not looking for a -11 for standing dunks, so as a result, I'll probably go the other way. And as you can see, as you increase it, yes, I do take a little bit of hit on the shooting, and my mid-range is a 63. And if I make it to 99 overall, that's a +4 or a +5, so that's almost a 67. But at the same time, I'm sacrificing a little bit of offense for a 90 standing dunk, a 94 block, and a 92 defensive rebound. So this is, I think, a pretty good trade-off. I think I'm not going to go max wingspan because my mid-range is going to take a huge hit to 63, and my 3 is only 60 now, so I'm gonna go somewhere in between here, which is only -2, so I still get a solid 64 mid-range. And if I make it to around 98 to 99 overall, then that will be a +4, so almost 70 3-point shooting. At the same time, my block rating now is 94, which is solid. I could be a true rim protector, and at the same time, my offensive rebounding and the defensive rebounding is pretty high. And with Hall of Fame rebounding, I could probably grab any board I want and flush it back in with an 88 standing dunk. So let's go with that. And for my takeover, it's really your choice if you want to go defense or offense. But as Yao Ming, I really like the offensive part of this game, so I'm gonna go with Glass Cleaner, and let's see who we get. And I get a glass cleaning lockdown, so my 3 comparisons are the Dikembe Mutombo, Hassan Whiteside, and Rudy Gobert. I think these are pretty good comparisons, but some people can't forget that I actually have quite a few shooting badges this year, so this build might be able to shoot and surprise some people. So let's go with that. And so now if we go to see the potential of this player, at a 95 I'm getting a 64 mid-range and a 65 standing dunk. But look at the strength, it's crazy. And with 20 defensive badges and 6 shooting, 6 finishing, and 2 playmaking, I think I'm pretty well rounded. And if we go to 99 overall, then we have a 95 strength, at the same time 84 close shot, 88 standing dunk, 83 offensive rebound, 92 defensive rebounds. So pretty much anything in the paint this guy is gonna gobble up. He can shoot a little bit as well, so if he gets fouled, he probably won't hurt you at the line because he has a 66 free throw and a mid-range of 64 and a 3-point 61. So this is what I'm gonna go with. So be sure to subscribe and check out my gameplay later on.